Welcome back to Razmafzar TV. Hi, Bede. How are you doing?
How are you?
Very good. We are going to talk about now Parthian and Sasanian artifacts from Römisch-Germanisches Museum. What we remember, we talked about those
Yeah.
beautiful Viking migration era.
Yeah, that was some beautiful pieces of art.
Really nice, huh?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there are not many museums have such artifacts, right, Bede?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're looking at culturally that was very widespread,
Yes.
but there's only a few places where it's still in the ground and you can dig it up and find it.
Yes.
I mean, we're not talking about the antiquities market, which is a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
But actually being able to go out and excavate it and date it properly, and it's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. It is amazing thing, and that's the reason. Oh, did I jump out? Oh, yeah. And that,
Yep.
yeah, exactly, because they're excavated makes them much more interesting, right? Yes.
Well, it's more valuable for scholarship. I mean,
Yes.
archaeologists. I mean, you have the Indiana Jones movies and things like that, but
Yes.
real archaeology is a lot of hard work,
Hard.
and it's painstaking. And I've got a lot of respect for people who have got the patience to isolate all these things and then apply rigorous statistical and logical interpretations to it. That's hard work.
Yes, it is. So we have, I'm just going to read it back, Römisch-Germanische Central Museum, Leibniz Forschungsinstitut für Archäologie, RGZM. So in English, the Roman-Germanic Central Museum, Leibniz Research Institute for Archaeology. The name changed. It's in Mainz. It's a very nice city. It's a globally active archaeological research institute. So this museum is not only a museum, I repeat, they have a very active or different archaeologist teams, right? That makes a difference. It's not only a museum, right? So, and funded by the federal and state governments and part of the Leibniz Association of German Research Institutions. Again, on January the 1st, 2023, RGZM gave up its traditional name and renamed itself the Leibniz-Zentrum der Archäologie and Leibniz Center of Archaeology, so LEIZA as we call it here in Germany. So it's and then these parts we are going to show you, they're not open yet, but at the end of this year, they're going to be again open so the public can see them. So what we show you, we are going to start with Parthian artifacts. Okay, these are all from the Parthian Iran. Look at this guy. Eyebrows.
Yeah, I love this. I love the eyebrow.
Yeah, very nice, huh?
Yeah.
And we are going to see this sword. You see that? This is a Parthian sword, short sword, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in my book, I've shown people also long sword, also daggers, but this is interestingly a short sword. But again, double.
It's like a kama.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, look at the scabbard, Bede. Look at the scabbard shape.
Yeah, that's what immediately made me think of kama is that metal enclosed scabbard, which was a really it's a way of decorating the scabbard, but it also makes for a stronger scabbard as well.
Yes,
it appears to be a very ancient design in the northwest of Iran and into the Caucasus area.
Yes,
and I see that there's very clear writing on our little man with the monobrow, which is also, I find Parthian writing particularly in manuscripts, very hard to separate the letters out because they all look very similar. It's the kind of Aramaic-ish
Yes.
development. I mean, like Book Aramaic for say uh, late third, fourth, fourth, third century BCE type Aramaic looks a lot easier to read than the Parthian. It's like the scribes kind of used it almost like shorthand,
Yeah.
which for those of us that aren't very linguistically capable can be a challenge sometimes.
And
That's
you think,
really nicely carved. We got some very nice pots there too.
yes, very nice. Look at them.
Is that a kind of lusterware or is it just
I think so. I think so.
yeah, yeah,
And please be, let us just look at this. A very Parthian shape, like the way the dress.
yeah,
And look at the lion.
yeah? It's like a little dog sitting there, except it's a lion. I like the thing about Parthian descriptions, or the way they carve clothing, is the multiple wrinkles in the sleeves and in the
Yes.
the drapery, which I assume means that they're trying to show the fineness and the quality of the cloth because it flows. Like silk does that, very high grade linen does that, things like that. So it's possibly not meant to be 100% representational. It's meant to imply something. This is sheer, really high quality thing, and that's why we carve it this way.
And you look at
I
the
know,
hairstyle and also the face carving is very typical Parthian, right?
yeah, yeah. Actually, that style of face kept going on in various, ways. I'm looking also. We've got a little chariot
Yes. Yes.
with a.
And look at what kind of animal is that? They have beaks,
It's a
right?
griffin. It's a
Ah, the
griffin, I think.
griffin. Yeah, right. The
Yeah,
griffin. Two
and
griffins.
it's the kind of chariot you see in late Roman uh, carvings, where it's a seat on a pair of wheels with
Oops, sorry.
horses, or in this case, griffins pulling it. So it's not like the classical chariot where you stood up. This
Ah,
one is much more comfortable. You get to sit down.
yeah. Let me just see if I have this. Yeah, we have better picture.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we have better picture. We are going to show better. Here we have this lion.
I like
And
the lion. It's definitely it's quite fierce. It's wrinkled its nose up. It's got its teeth showing. It's one angry lion.
yeah, who says that lions cannot be tamed?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. I look. One of my school teachers, um, and this is a long time ago in the 70s in London, was photographed taking his pet lion for a walk in London.
What?
Uh, yeah, he was by this stage he was no longer a school teacher in my school, but it was in the newspapers, and we were going, "What?" He
Wow.
didn't seem that eccentric when he was teaching us, but
Yeah, unbelievable. And look at this. Okay, we can take a look at griffins better now. Oh, you're right.
yeah.
It's sitting. Right.
Mm,
And look, is it a sword handle?
it does look like one, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or one of those daggers. You know the daggers that have the crossguard and then the
Ah,
lobes on the
yeah.
scabbard?
Yes,
It
yes.
might be one of those.
Yeah, you're right. Which we have in the National Museum of Iran, right? That one.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
statue. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And take a look at now the sword bead.
Yeah, with the classic sword slide
Yes.
mounting, which is very popular at that time.
Yes.
And again, the what you would call a double belt. So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
can be a single strap that goes around and back and around, or it can be one strap high on the waist and a second strap that goes down to the sword. Uh, both of those things exist, but
Bead.
you can see the buckles. You can see, um, again, he's wearing one of those camis, like it's I don't know whether it's meant to be done up to me it looks like it's just like a big shirt with lots of embroidery on it. He's got what would be a lovely wristwatch if it was a lot later. Look on his wrist. Yeah, well, we won't get the alien invasion people excited about this.
And the thing
But
is, scabbard slide systems, we saw that in Sasanian
yeah,
period as well. Some of them are hung between in front, and some of them are hung on the left. Some of them are hung on the right side. Have you seen on
mm.
the coins? So there are three styles: left, right, and in front. But all of them
I
have
th- I
been
think
scabbard slide.
I think the center ones they've actually that's the resting pose, and they've moved the sword so you can lean on it. I
Yeah,
don't think you could have actually walked like that,
yeah,
not without doing yourself a serious injury.
yeah,
Um, so the thing about this sword slide suspension, it is very flexible. You can move it around your body.
yeah.
And you see from the silver plates that when they were riding, the sword just hung vertically down with the
Yes,
hilt just in a good position to grab.
yes,
Um, that that short sword.
yeah.
Um, I'm just looking at the decoration. That pierced decoration on the scabbard.
It's beautiful.
Remember those kind of fish scale or feather designs you see on some silver late Sasanian scabbards?
Yes,
This is like a cutout version of it, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
It's really, really interesting. At the top, at the scabbard mouth, you've got that openwork panel,
Yeah.
which looks like it's made up of swastikas, which is not an unusual design.
Oh, you're right. It is here.
Yeah,
Other
yeah,
way
like
around,
there's
which is usual Asian ones, right? Exactly.
yeah, this is the Buddhist kind of swastika. Um,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
because in I think in Chinese it was used as a character for 10,000 or something, like a number as well. So it had and the reason it was used as a number was because it was meant to be eternal or good luck or something like that. I mean, it was something that the Nazis um appropriated, but they didn't call it a swastika. They called it a broken cross or something like that, or a
Yes,
hook cross,
yes.
because they liked the design. They rotated it, but they didn't like the associations it had in Hindu and Buddhist civilizations, where it was a sign of goodness, not a sign of
Yeah,
power.
yes.
The sword is interesting.
Very.
So it's got a long, solid tang.
Yeah, very
It
solid.
has a central rib,
Yeah,
and it looks like it's good for stabbing and cutting.
yes. And it is bent. Do you see that? Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that can happen. I mean, at least they didn't break the scabbard. I mean, the parts where the piercing has disintegrated.
Yeah,
I'm guessing the scabbard's made of bronze of some sort,
yeah.
because it's the patination looks like it's some kind of bronze
Let me show it
rather
to
than
us. Let me show here.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
yellowish, this part. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So my guess is obviously this would have clad a wooden inner scabbard to protect the blade from the metalwork. But the metalwork is to stop the scabbard from splitting as well. It's not just decorative; it's practical.
And the
So,
shape, scabbard shape, exactly looks like Safavid and Qajar period
oh
camel.
yeah, I mean that shape was popular for
Yeah.
another 2,000 years. I mean, isn't it incredible? But
Incredible.
it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful scabbard. I
Yeah.
mean, it would have been great if the handle had preserved, because it'd be really interesting to see what shape the handle was. If it was the shape of a Hama,
Yeah, you're right.
uh, it would be really interesting, because that's not that far away from the shape of a gladius,
Yeah.
except gladius is a globular,
Yeah.
like the pommel is globular, the handle is round,
Yes.
the well, it's not a crossguard, but the
Yeah.
base of the hilt is kind of arch shape. Whereas on a kame, there's vague similarity, but it's much flatter and it's much squarer in cross section. It gives you a much more controlled grip, I think.
Bede,
Um,
looking at this sword, look at how long the handle is.
yeah, yeah, and it looks like it's a broad-bladed sword as well,
Yeah.
like a big slashing sword. Now, is the handle long to give it balance, or is the handle long to use it two-handed? I'm guessing because there are Chinese swords around about this date that look a bit like that, that it's more for balance than for two-handedness. But of course, if you're in a fight and you want to use your sword two-handed, that's quite a. I mean, if it's there, you can use it. It might not be the standard way that you fight, but every now and then you've got to behead a general or something. You might want an extra bit of force. But it's a really nice carving. Is there like a little lion face on the crossguard? Is it some
Yeah,
kind of
it
animal
seems so.
face?
You mean here, right? Here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let me see
yeah.
if
And
I
it
have
looks.
better pictures of it. Let me see. Oh no, I don't. Oh yes, I do. Here. Look at.
Oh, yeah.
We come back to the other artifacts, but let us look at it closely.
Mm,
Yeah, right. It's an animal. Look, Pete.
yeah,
Eye, ear,
yeah. Turned up nose.
nose. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an animal. You're
yeah.
right.
I'm just looking at the where the strap goes around the sword. It appears to be there's a slit and maybe there's a button.
What is this? This one.
I think that is a representation of a slit and button and a trailing piece of fabric or leather or something.
Mm, mm.
I'm not sure. It could actually be a decorative piece that's attached to the belt, not the sword blade, because the belt itself is pretty straightforward. It's got a buckle. You can see the tongue of the buckle. The sword support strap, the one that comes down from the belt. Um, I'm wondering if that is the fitting of how that. Because when you took that belt off, there has to be some way. You don't want to step out of a loop for that bottom strap. When the belt undoes, it doesn't undo the other side of that strap. So there has to be a. Yeah, that looks like it's a. I'm tempted to say a toggle. Honestly, I don't know. Uh, or it could be that the strap splits in two and one half goes around the front of the scabbard and the other half goes around the back of the scabbard. And that piece there, whatever it is just a thing, a decorative part of the system.
You know what is
Because,
interesting with Parthian statues? They show it as a real statue, not like Sasanian and Achaemenid, which is on a relief, right?
yeah, 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 they were very much into freestanding statues,
Yes.
and it's got a style of its own because Greeks and Romans love people without clothes on,
Yeah.
or with like a toga or something draped around them. But the Parthians and their allies, like the people in Hatra and Palmyra
Mm.
and places like that, they they all like wearing clothes with lots of embroidery and decoration on it. So
Yeah.
therefore, this is a different way of showing things, and even the stance is slightly different. I mean, you can see some. Bear in mind, the Parthians had a fair amount of Hellenistic influence because of
Yes.
the
Yes.
Seleucids,
Absolutely.
but they quite clearly brought their own style. And I mean, they're not they their culture didn't develop in Iran. They moved into Iran from the north, but they were Iranian speaking.
They are.
I
Yeah.
mean, Parthian is, I think, related to Median.
Yes.
It's a northwest language, even though they came from the northeast. So, I mean, this is culturally they were very similar.
Yeah.
Maybe not as organized as, say, the Achaemenids were earlier,
Yeah.
but definitely, in that mold.
Yeah.
Um, and you can see this. I think a passion that survived in Iran until the end of the Qajar dynasty was a liking for beautiful fabrics
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
highly decorated fabrics.
Highly.
I mean, it's just, I think when they traveled around a lot, um, I mean, they had a nomadic heritage, but they were the great landowners and the seven families and all that kind of thing, uh, owned castles and palaces and stuff like that. But they did move around a lot. Even the Achaemenids moved from Susa to Babylon and back and up to Persepolis for Nauruz, probably.
Mm.
So the aristocracy in this kingdom was fairly mobile,
You get
and
the
so
hand beat.
therefore.
The
Sorry?
hand, his hand is very strong. Do you see the strength?
Yeah, it's very much how your hand is on the pommel of a sword, isn't it? It's really well observed. It's a resting hand, but with big, strong fingers. Uh, Again, people will say, "Oh, it's a bit naive compared to, say, a Greek statue," but what they don't realize is that Greek statues are highly stylized, and whereas to us, they represent, our reality. In reality, most Greek people weren't wandering around naked, so that there's a degree of um, stylization and imagination in Greek statuary. This is a attempt to use some Greek ideas to express a entirely different cultural view of the world.
And when I
I
look
mean,
at
this is
it, Pete, look at it, you
mhm.
see traces as a small belly. You see that? So how?
Yeah, I like that. As a person who's got a not small belly, I appreciate it when our ancestors respected people who weren't equipped with a six pack, which I am not, and I believe I am genetically incapable of having one. But yeah, he's relaxed. If you
Yeah,
know what I mean,
yeah.
he's kind of standing there relaxed. His leg position is that of a person who's just lounging around. He's leaning on his sword in a kind of comfortable manner. It's really quite interesting. It's a different way of looking at the world.
Yes, yes. And look, Pete, around the handle, do you see that? It looks like a wrapping. It depicts a
Yeah,
wrapping.
like a cord wrapping, I
Yeah,
mean, this is before the time that people use silver wire, but a good solid cord wrapping, which would be really give you a good grip on your sword.
yeah.
But it appears now I might be over interpreting this that is about a little bit wider than the hand breadth, and then above that it's smoother, and then clearly his hand is on a rounded pommel of some sort. So maybe like European swords of the High Middle Ages, the grips were segmented into
Yeah.
parts for different reasons, parts you're using for
It
different.
bulges. Do you see that? It has like a,
Yeah, I think it's kind of ergonomically designed
yeah,
for the type of. I mean, there's very little. There's no. The guard is not going to protect your hand very much, so obviously they use them with shields and
yeah. Yes.
use the shield for defense.
Yes. They had
Uh,
these round shields. Do you remember on statues
yeah,
from? Yeah, exactly. We let us go back now. Okay, we talked
yeah,
about this. Okay, here we have these griffins, right?
yeah.
Yes.
You can see their wings and their tails and their claws on their hind legs. Oh, and on their forelegs, which is proper, I think. And their bird beak, big eared. See, the funny thing about griffins is griffins never existed. There was nothing that looked like griffins. But the kind of artistic concept of griffins is remarkably consistent over. I mean, there's griffin-like creatures painted on the walls in Knossos from Minoan times, like 1800 BCE.
Yes.
This is what um, uh, first century or second century BC, AD, something like that. That griffin and the griffins at Persepolis,
Yes.
the heads are the same.
So I just read that here in German it's written that this short sword
Mm-hmm,
was recovered or found in a grave of a Parthian warrior, and they write
mm-hmm.
possibly it was Roman. Guys, this is nothing Roman gladius about that.
Well, yeah, it's got the wrong proportions for a gladius, and it's certainly not a Pugio, the dagger. It's got the wrong
Yes,
proportions for that. But
yes,
you can see why someone would make an association because it's that elaborate scabbard it was very popular in Rome as well.
yes,
But we've got to remember it was also really popular in Iran,
yes, very.
and and there may be Hellenistic influences.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I can understand why people would say that because people are always trying to find links between
Yeah.
things, and sometimes it's
Yeah.
well, maybe there's an inscription on the back in Latin saying this belonged to
No, otherwise they would have said that. No, I'm sure
I
they would.
know, I know. This is what I'm getting at. No,
The
I think there's
griffins, Pete, the griffins have wings, and I find
yep,
it's really not nice that griffins didn't exist in reality, because had they existed, it would be a much better idea. Look at
Oh, it'd be a wonderful. Well, there's wonderful ones in the Harry Potter movie. Uh, maybe I don't know. It's a funny thing when you see mythical animals, and you can't relate griffins to anything that ever existed, but because there's no creature that had this combination of features. Dragons, you can relate to Komodo dragons and crocodiles and things like that, but griffins are special. I like this. This lion has a lot of dog features.
yeah,
You notice it's sitting like a dog.
yeah,
It's it's growling like a dog.
it does.
Its nose is wrinkled, but lions do wrinkle their noses. This is not just a dog thing, but it seems to be guarding. I assume it's a goddess. Uh,
Indeed, when I was in Mongolia and we went to the Chinggis Khan palace, when we
yeah,
went out, all of us, the first time I saw it in my life, I have to say it. To be honest, not only in my life, I didn't even know that they existed. I admit that. So I saw something like a lion approached us, lion dog, Mongolian lion dog, huge,
yeah,
but
yeah.
came to us and just started rubbing. And it was so huge. So I started to caress, looked at me, had a big mane, lion dog.
Hmm.
Looked like a lion, but it was a dog. And
Hmm.
and the Mongolians, they also started to off with a nice dog and said, okay, who's the owner? They said, no, he's just a wild dog. What? And they said, yeah. And it was so tame, so beautiful, but it looked like a
Yeah.
lion. It had a mane, but
Yeah.
it was a dog. But this boy was huge, huge. When I say
These are
huge,
these
it's
these are
unbelievable.
clearly, yeah, the dogs they use for guarding the flocks. This is the dogs they had in Mongolia, and they still have clearly. Uh, but when they say wild, I think they meant it wasn't owned by somebody, but it was clearly a dog that had been bred by people.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it wouldn't like people.
yeah, yeah, of course. No,
That's
no, it
that's
was not
dogs. They
afraid. It
like.
was not afraid of us. So you could
Yeah,
talk to
no,
it.
no. But
Talk to it.
again, yeah, when you think of these huge dogs that people kept, and in the Caucasus as well, they bred really big dogs.
Oh.
So uh, the artist may have known what a lion looked like, but knew what a guard dog did.
Yeah, I just want to
And
say,
the personality is a guard dog, and the attempt to be a lion. I like it. I just think it's got real charm.
yeah,
That'd be a good T-shirt. That
yeah,
imagine that on a T-shirt.
yes,
Oh dear, it's lovely.
yeah.
Uh
So there are
coins.
also coins.
The
Yes,
only thing that gives us an idea of the names of the Parthian kings.
yes,
I mean, sometimes we only know about kings from coins because the Romans forgot to write their names down. The
yes,
Romans never really understood the nomenclature of kings in Parthian Iran
yes,
because every king was Arshak,
yes,
Arsaces as the
yes,
Greco-Roman way of writing it. So that was when you became king, you took that name, like you took the name of Caesar in
yes.
Rome, even if you weren't related to Caesar, because the name had become powerful by itself.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so everybody, I think the original name was Arshak,
Mhm.
um, and that was the historical founder of the dynasty,
Yeah,
like Hachemanish was the founder of the Achaemenid dynasty.
yes,
Um, so this is a naming system, but they unlike um, in the Achaemenids where each king had his own name.
yeah,
In the Parthians, each king was Arshak Asakis. They did have their own personal names, and this is what we know them as.
yes,
But if in their royal titles, they would be also always Ashak. I mean, it's like the Scottish head of a clan was called, like um, the MacDonald or the McDougal or whatever. The name, the
Yeah.
family name was the first thing. Then you had a personal name, and they had some wonderfully complicated names.
Do you like the bowl?
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
There's some carvings here. Do you see that? This part.
Yeah, it looks like it's been engraved,
Yeah.
but plus it's fluted,
Yeah, it's fluted.
which is a very popular from I mean kind of from the Mediterranean all the way through the Middle East into Central Asia, and eventually it got to China. The idea of making these beautiful fluted bowls, they're really attractive to look at. There's our Parthian man standing up with his hand on his sword. Um, see, there are very similar. I think it's Hatra. There are similar carvings to
Yes.
these.
In Hudson, we have similar.
Uh, yeah, where they basically the style has been emulated by the small kings in these little cities in relation
Uh,
back to the.
just one thing I need to say, excuse me. This is a huge statue, right? It's
Mhm.
not as huge as the one made of bronze in National Museum of Iran. We talked
Oh,
about
from
that.
Shami, yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
huge. But this
yeah.
one is a human size. Look
Wow,
at
that's
the
a
heater. Look at the heater here.
yeah. So you can relate it. If that was a normal sized man standing on a little platform.
Yes, yes. It's a,
The um the other thing is that he's wearing his belt quite low, which is what happens to a lot of people. Actually, that might be the little belly, pushing it down. My belt is always low. It's um the body is quite sinuous in that. Clearly, the belt is down around the hips,
yeah.
and that gives you a different look at the thing. It's a very relaxed, again, very relaxed pose. He's got one hand up. He's got one hand on his sword. Um,
Very nice.
Yeah, it's pretty classic actually. He's wearing those lovely baggy trousers.
Yes,
Um,
yes. So we move on to others. No, there are smaller ones, right? But there are different ones from Parthian era, different
yeah, they
ones.
did like carvings of beautiful women or goddesses, depending. I mean, sometimes it's a bit hard to tell which is which. I
Yeah.
think when there's two or three of them dancing, they're just beautiful women. But when there's one of them standing there or sitting, looking very important, it's a goddess.
I mean,
Um,
they had also guys, they had the beautiful art, because many Iranians they adore Achaemenid art, they adore Sasanian art. They always neglect Parthian art. Guys, Parthians made beautiful stuff as well. I'm addressing my fellow countryman, right?
well, the thing is that the craftsmen that were making it were all Iranians. I mean, the Parthians were the people paying for the art,
Yes.
and they had styles that they liked, which they brought with them. And the craftsmen then produced the art. Now,
Beautiful ones. Beautiful.
if you were of Parthian descent, which I mean, some Armenians are, because the Parthian royal family survived in Armenia for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sasanians eradicated the ruling dynasty of Parthians in Armenia, but they were so interbred with the Parthian royal family that there are people around today that probably could trace their heritage back to these old kings. And I mean, this is this rich melting pot that you have in Iran and the neighboring areas.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it was Iranian tribes coming out of the steppe. Then it was Turkish tribes coming out of the steppe. But you had, Iran was always mixed. It had a mixed economy, agriculture, pastoralism,
Yes.
transhumance, all this kind of stuff. Plus manufacturing, with metalwork, ceramics, carvings, architecture. I mean, it was a lot of things were always going on there. It was never a backwater.
No.
And being on the Silk Road, they got all these good ideas. I mean, again, glassworks. The Egyptians developed the basis of making glass. The Romans went head over heels in love with glass, but glass moved from the Mediterranean all the way across, and in each place new ideas were added to the mix.
Look at these, beautiful.
Yeah, these are it'd be really nice to own something that was made in this style
Yeah.
because they look really nice. If you were pouring a glass of water out of a ewer like that, you'd feel a very important person.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so, right. So these were some Parthians. We put it, and then here it comes down to Tunisia, some parts of it down there. The rest of them were
Yeah.
Parthian. And look at them. Beautiful thing. Beautiful areas.
See, this is the kind of late Hellenistic world
Yes, it
where,
is.
I mean, there were people in Afghanistan that spoke Greek.
Yes, yes, yes,
I mean, the
yes,
Parthians,
yes,
despite their very Iranian origins, liked Greek theatre.
yes, yes, they did.
I mean,
So,
a lot of Parthian kings had
yes,
Philhellenos, lover of Greekness, as part of their titles because
yes,
they weren't prejudiced.
yes,
They
no,
just, if it's good, we want it.
yes.
That is really spectacular. That I can see why you would think maybe Roman influenced or Roman, but when you look at it, it's not. Um, the designs aren't. The structure, I mean, I'm pretty certain there are Roman gladiators with similar structures in their scabbards, but not the design, I think, doesn't look.
I
Oh, I
think
could be
because
wrong.
our colleagues also now we have many as in arms number from Iran show it, but now even more. If you go to the National Museum in Iran, they have excavated many more Parthian swords and daggers, which they depicted.
Yeah, you see it in the published papers, and it's amazing because like a lot of the things that get published in popular stuff are 50 years out of date
Yes,
because it's what's easily available. But if you read the papers when they're published and that, the swords that turn up, the um the silverwork,
yeah,
the carvings,
yeah.
and the point is we had the pictures of all the coins.
Yes.
Some of the